Did you know that avoiding masturbation in old age can lead to unexpected changes in your body? As we grow older, it's easy to brush aside things like self-pleasure, thinking it's no longer important or even necessary. But what many seniors don't realize is that the body still benefits from that kind of stimulation, just in different, deeper ways than it used to. It's not only about physical release. It's about keeping certain systems running smoothly, staying emotionally balanced, and maintaining a sense of connection to your body. In this video, we're going to explore 6 things that can happen to older men when they stop masturbating completely. Some of these may surprise you, from physical shifts in the body to subtle emotional consequences. Each one tells a larger story about how the body ages and what it still needs. Even in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, stick around until the end, because the last point might completely change how you think about your own health, confidence, and sense of independence. This isn't about embarrassment or shame. It's about understanding your body, honoring it, and knowing how to age with strength and self-awareness. Let's get started. Number 1, weakening of the pelvic floor muscles. One of the lesser-known consequences of avoiding masturbation in old age is the gradual weakening of your pelvic floor muscles. These muscles aren't something most men think about every day, but they play a key role in everything from bladder control to sexual function. When they're not activated regularly, especially through the kinds of contractions that happen during arousal and climax, they can slowly lose tone and strength. You might notice small things at first, a bit of leakage when you cough or sneeze, or the need to use the bathroom more frequently. Over time, these little issues can turn into bigger frustrations. For some older men, this weakening leads to incontinence or difficulties in achieving or maintaining an erection, not necessarily because of blood flow or hormone levels, but simply because the muscles supporting the system have gone idle. The body is like a machine. Parts that aren't used often tend to stiffen, weaken, or break down faster. The pelvic region is no different. It needs regular stimulation and engagement to stay functional. And while things like walking, stretching, or even light exercise can help, the specific kinds of contractions that happen during sexual release are uniquely beneficial for this area. There's also a psychological connection. When the pelvic floor weakens, it can lead to a loss of control that feels unsettling. Some men report feeling embarrassed, less confident, or even ashamed, emotions that can spiral into deeper emotional patterns, like social withdrawal or reduced motivation to move around. What starts as a small physical issue can quietly ripple out into your mindset and daily habits. It's not about turning back the clock or clinging to youth. It's about keeping the systems you still have in good shape so you can enjoy your independence, mobility, and dignity for as long as possible. Just like brushing your teeth to avoid decay, using your body in this intimate but natural way can help prevent certain declines before they even start. For older men who stop masturbating entirely, the first sign that something's changed might not come from the mind. It might come from a moment of urgency in the bathroom, a sudden leak, or a feeling that the body isn't quite as under control as it used to be. And the good news is that this is something you can influence. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to stay connected to your body to engage with it in ways that are natural, private, and consistent. That connection, even just a few times a week, can go a long way toward keeping your pelvic health intact. Number 2, decreased blood flow to the genitals. When an older man stops masturbating entirely, one of the first hidden changes is a gradual reduction in blood flow to the genital area. Now, that might not sound like a big deal at first, but over time, that lack of circulation begins to affect the overall health, sensitivity, and even appearance of the penis. Just like any part of the body, this area needs regular stimulation to stay responsive and well-nourished. Without that periodic increase in blood flow, tissues can start to stiffen or shrink slightly, losing elasticity. Some men notice that they no longer feel as much sensation as they used to. Others report that it takes longer to become aroused, or that erections, when they do happen, feel weaker or less satisfying. But the cause isn't just aging itself. In many cases, it's the absence of use that accelerates this decline. Blood flow brings oxygen and nutrients. It also clears out waste products and helps maintain nerve sensitivity. That's true whether you're 25 or 75. But when you're older, your body already has to work harder to maintain circulation. So when you stop engaging sexually, even on your own, you remove one of the few natural ways to keep that part of your body alive and active. Imagine what happens when someone stops using their hands or legs for long periods. They weaken, tighten, and become more prone to injury. The same principle applies here. What we don't use, we risk losing, not overnight, but gradually, silently, and often without realizing it until it's already happened. This also affects your confidence, whether you notice it or not. When things down there don't feel the same, it can start to affect how you feel about yourself, your energy, your sense of vitality, your belief that you're still whole and capable. And that loss of confidence doesn't stay in the bedroom. It can show up in how you carry yourself, how social you feel, or whether you avoid situations where you used to feel comfortable and connected. This isn't about chasing pleasure for its own sake. It's about maintaining function. When blood flow slows, your body gets the message that the area is no longer needed. But when you stay connected, even in small, consistent ways, you're telling your body, this still matters. And in turn, your body responds by keeping those systems alive and ready. So if you've noticed a decline in sensation, energy, or responsiveness, and you haven't been active with yourself in a while, this might be one of the missing pieces. A little attention in this area can bring surprising improvements in how you feel, how you move, and how you connect with your own body again. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, hormonal imbalance and mood shifts. One of the most underestimated effects of giving up masturbation in older age is how it affects your hormones, particularly testosterone, dopamine, and oxytocin. These aren't just scientific words doctors like to throw around. They're the chemical signals that help regulate your energy, mood, motivation, and even your sense of identity as a man. When you stop stimulating your body in that familiar, intimate way, the brain slowly reduces its natural release of these feel-good and function-critical hormones. Testosterone helps maintain muscle mass, bone density, mental clarity, and sex drive. Dopamine supports focus, motivation, and that spark of satisfaction that makes you want to get up and do things. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, plays a subtle role in emotional stability and connection, even when you're by yourself. Over time, the absence of self-release can create a hormonal lull. You might notice that you feel more sluggish during the day, a little more irritable without a clear reason, or even mildly depressed. You might sleep more, but feel less rested. Or you might struggle to get excited about things that once brought you joy. And if you chalk all that up to aging alone, you could be missing an important piece of the puzzle. What's tricky is that the decline is slow and quiet. You might not connect the dots right away. But when a man's body no longer engages in regular release, even just once or twice a week, those hormone levels shift and not always in his favor. Some studies suggest that even occasional sexual stimulation can help keep testosterone levels more stable in older men, contributing to better energy, clearer thinking, and even stronger bones and muscles over time. Now, this doesn't mean that every older man needs to keep a rigid schedule of activity just to stay balanced. What it means is that your body is still listening, and when you cut off one of its natural ways of self-regulation, other systems start to feel it too. That includes your emotions. Many older men who avoid self-pleasure entirely begin to feel emotionally flat or anxious, not realizing that part of what's missing isn't just the act itself. It's the hormonal rhythm that comes with it. Without it, your brain doesn't get that regular shot of reassurance that says, we're okay, we're alive, we're still in the game. This can have a quiet effect on how you relate to others as well. You might find yourself withdrawing, snapping more often, or feeling unmotivated in conversations or social settings. You might even lose interest in intimacy altogether, not because the desire is gone, but because your body no longer feels the drive to pursue it. And yet, this is something you can gently shift. A small return to self-intimacy, without guilt or shame, can help reintroduce those hormonal benefits. It doesn't need to be dramatic. You're not doing it for performance. You're doing it for balance, for clarity, and for the sense of being connected to yourself. The goal isn't to reverse time. It's to support the body you have today in doing what it still knows how to do: regulate, heal, and restore. Number 4, increased risk of prostate congestion. One of the more physical, but often ignored consequences of stopping masturbation in old age is something called prostate congestion. Now, this isn't something that comes up in casual conversation, but it's a very real issue for older men. The prostate gland, which plays a key role in semen production, can become sluggish and congested when there's no regular release. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. Your prostate continues to produce fluid as part of your natural function, even if you're no longer sexually active. When ejaculation doesn't happen regularly, that fluid has nowhere to go. Over time, this buildup can cause a sense of pressure, discomfort, or even aching in the lower abdomen or groin. Some men report feeling full or notice a dull, nagging soreness without knowing why. Others don't feel anything until one day they suddenly do. This is especially important to understand because a congested prostate doesn't just feel uncomfortable. It can also increase your risk of other issues such as inflammation, difficulty urinating, or even more frequent trips to the bathroom at night. Some research has suggested that regular ejaculation, whether through partnered sex or masturbation, can help reduce the risk of developing prostate-related conditions, including inflammation and possibly even certain cancers. That doesn't mean you need to be active every day, but consistency matters. Just like stretching your legs after a long rest, the prostate needs gentle stimulation to function at its best. Otherwise, it becomes like a clogged faucet, still under pressure, but with no outlet. That pressure can build slowly, showing up in ways you might not immediately associate with your sexual health. Now, here's where the emotional side kicks in. When prostate issues arise, many men blame themselves or feel embarrassed. They might hesitate to bring it up with a doctor or even to acknowledge that something feels off. But this isn't about fault. It's about understanding how your body works, especially as it ages. There's no shame in knowing what your body needs and doing something about it. In fact, staying proactive about your prostate health can spare you from unnecessary discomfort down the line. And more importantly, it can give you peace of mind. Some older men share stories of how they went years without any kind of release, thinking it didn't matter anymore, until they started having difficulty with urination or experienced pain they couldn't explain. When they made small changes and reintroduced occasional stimulation, many noticed not just physical relief, but an overall improvement in how they felt throughout the day. Think of it as maintenance, not indulgence, not weakness, just smart care for one of the most overlooked parts of the male body. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, increased emotional tension and irritability. Another consequence of avoiding masturbation in later life is one that many men don't immediately recognize: emotional tension. You might feel a little more irritable than usual. Maybe small things start to bother you more, or you find yourself withdrawing from people without fully understanding why. At first, it seems like nothing, just a bad day or a sign you didn't sleep well. But over time, the buildup of stress without a healthy release can affect both your mood and your relationships. Masturbation, especially in older age, isn't just a physical act, it's also an emotional outlet. It's a quiet, private space where your body gets a chance to release tension and your mind can reset, even if just for a few moments. It may sound simple, but it can be remarkably effective at lowering stress hormones and giving your nervous system a break. When that outlet disappears, especially in a life that might already include health concerns, loneliness, or caregiving burdens, your emotional cup can start to overflow. And because the buildup is internal and invisible, it often gets expressed in ways you don't intend, through a short temper, constant frustration, or difficulty relaxing. You may not even realize that this shift in your emotional state started when you pulled away from all forms of intimate self-connection. For many older men, emotional regulation becomes more difficult with age, not because we lose our wisdom, but because the stressors build while the outlets shrink. Friends pass, routines change, and physical limitations start to creep in. Without a release valve, all that tension just sits there, looking for a way out. Some men turn to food or alcohol. Others isolate themselves. But one of the gentlest, most natural ways to let that pressure go is through self-stimulation, a quiet reminder that your body still works, your needs still matter, and your well-being deserves your attention. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't even have to be regular. But the absence of it, especially when paired with mounting life stress, can leave you feeling disconnected and weighed down. There's also something important about reclaiming control in your own space. When you allow yourself to express emotion, whether it's through laughter, touch, or release, you're giving yourself permission to feel. And in a world that often tells older men to be stoic, tough, or silent, That small act can feel like a breath of fresh air. This isn't about fixing everything with one solution, but it is about recognizing that emotional health is deeply tied to physical expression. And when you remove one of the most basic expressions, your body knows. Something else often takes its place. Tension, frustration, or a quiet kind of sadness you can't always explain. If any part of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And the good news is, the path back doesn't require changing who you are. It just asks you to listen, gently, to what your body and mind might be trying to tell you. Number 6, losing connection with your own body. When an older man stops masturbating altogether, one of the most quietly damaging effects isn't physical or hormonal, it's the gradual loss of connection with his own body. And this goes deeper than just biology. Over time, when we stop engaging with ourselves in a physical way, we begin to drift from the simple awareness of how we feel, what we need, and where we still find joy. Many older men say things like, "I just don't feel like myself anymore," or "I don't recognize my body these days." While part of that is the natural result of aging, some of it comes from detachment, the slow pulling away from intimacy, not only with others, but with yourself. When we no longer touch, explore, or even think of ourselves in a sensual or connected way, we begin to treat our bodies like machines. We're just trying to maintain instead of parts of ourselves that deserve care, attention, and even admiration. This disconnect often shows up in small ways at first. You might stop looking in the mirror unless you have to. You might become overly focused on what's wrong, aches, spots, sagging, instead of seeing your body as something that's still alive, still capable, still deserving of appreciation. You might feel less motivated to move, dress well, or do things that once made you feel attractive or confident. Masturbation at its core is a private act of acknowledgement. It says, "I'm still here, I still feel, I still matter." And when that is removed, especially for years at a time, the silence that follows can grow into indifference. Not just toward sex, but toward yourself. This emotional distance can affect your health in more ways than you'd expect. Studies have shown that body awareness is linked to better self-care, stronger immune responses, and even faster recovery from illness. When you remain in touch with your body, not just through logic or responsibility, but through intimate, meaningful experiences, you're more likely to take care of it, to respect it, and to feel ownership over your aging process. Now, this isn't about turning back the clock. It's not about pretending you're 30 again or chasing after lost passions. It's about anchoring yourself in the present, saying yes to small, consistent reminders that you're still a full person. Not just a father or a grandfather or a patient at the clinic, but a man with a body that still responds, still enjoys, and still deserves connection. When that connection fades, your sense of identity can start to erode with it. You might feel more like an observer of your life than a participant. But when you bring that attention back, even gently and without pressure, it reignites something quiet but powerful, a sense of aliveness. You don't need anyone's permission to feel good in your skin. And you don't need to explain why you're doing something that brings you closer to yourself. You're not broken. You're not past your prime. You're still here. And the more you reconnect, the more you'll feel that truth in your bones, your heart, and your spirit. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, take a moment to reflect on what you've just heard. Which of these 6 changes stood out to you the most? Was there something that surprised you or something that quietly confirmed what you've already been feeling? This video isn't here to shame or pressure anyone. It's here to remind you that aging doesn't mean disconnecting from yourself. Your body is still yours, and it still deserves your attention, your care, and yes, even your affection. Whether it's about supporting your prostate, balancing your mood, or simply maintaining a healthy relationship with your body, these things matter. You matter, and there's no age where that stops being true. You don't have to do anything dramatic. Even small, intentional moments of self-connection can make a difference. If this video gave you a new way to think about your health, or simply helped you feel a little more understood, then I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.